My name is Sarah. Welcome to the It is a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, September 16, 2024, and in this episode I want to share my handwerk perikelen, that's Dutch for crafty adventures from this week with you. I have something very exciting I want to show you and I want to tell you all about because it's really hard jumping to me. Oh, here it is. Every now and then people ask me, what do you mean with hard jumping? Is it jumping hard? No, it's not jumping hard. It's my heart that's jumping hard. I absolutely understand that it can be a little bit confusing, but in Dutch we say, je hart maakt een sprongetje. Your heart is jumping when you are doing something very fun or very exciting. It's a way to explain when you are feeling very positive. So I translated that my way in English to hard jumping. And I know a lot of people are using it right now too. I have no idea if it is an existing term or not. It's just my clumsy English. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell. I'm sorry for my... No, let's start. I forget my intro. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, I love to sew, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I make my episodes in Dutch and in English, so be sure you pick the right one. Okay, let's start. Before we dive into my hard jumping crochet project, I want to say a little bit more about what I'm wearing. I'm a little bit underdressed today. I'm not wearing any knitwear. This is also my favorite thing to wear, just plain cotton t-shirts. I was wearing my Ariana cardigan this morning. It is a little bit more chilly, although warm weather will come back, I guess, this week. The weather forecast is telling us that summer is not over yet. But today it was a little bit chilly, so I did wear my Ariana cardigan when I was walking in the forest, but then suddenly it started raining and I didn't expect that. It was those tiny thin raindrops. In Dutch we call it misig. That kind of rain it was tomorrow. Not the thick raindrops, but only the very small and tiny, hardly visible, but they make you soaking wet. So my Ariana is still a little bit wet. I dried, my hair is curly and fuzzy all over again, but it's okay. So she's just hanging on the nail because she deserves some attention. And we are into the granny squares today. I'm also wearing my Estuary skirt. And I want to share a little bit more about that. I made it in the beginning of summer. It's again a pattern by Liberated. I really love their patterns. I'm absolutely a beginner sewer and they are beginner friendly to me. If I can do it, everyone can do it. I have my doubts about the shape of the Estuary skirt. It's an A-line and I'm doubting if I prefer just a straight skirt. I'm not sure. Maybe I just picked the wrong size because I did a little bit of a modification which was not meant to be, and it's also not really as it should be, but it did work out for me. My waist was way too wide and I couldn't change that afterwards, so I just made some extra folds and I sewed them back, so there are some big pleats here. But after some weeks of wearing, I did wear it out. The elastic stretches out too much, and I did it again, quite drastic, quite dramatic. So there are big pleats here, and it's okay. They are not bothering me, but they shouldn't be there. So the problem is I can't put the shaping. There's quite a big difference between my hips and my waist. So I have to put my skirt on over my head. It can't go through my... No, not through. I can't get it over my hips. And this is a fake button band. And I always make fake button bands because I never use them. But with this skirt, I needed a real button band. So I can just open the buttons and put it on. But now I have to put it on over my head. And it's not a problem. I only have to do that one time in the morning and one time in the evening when I go to bed. And when I have to visit the toilet, I just can put my skirt up. As you do when you do. So I'm a little bit doubting. I didn't wear it a lot this summer, but I was really in the long skirt phase and I was really feeling comfortable with that. But now it's a little bit more chilly and I can wear my leggings again. I don't wear the long skirts anymore and I am really feeling happy in my Estuary skirt. So I might try it again and maybe I just will try a smaller size, and if that doesn't work I will change the A-line shape into a straight shape. I can play with sewing patterns because that's the person I am nowadays. I had never expected that. I always think if you really want it bad enough, of course there are situations in which that doesn't work, but most of the time just when you really want it you can learn it, I guess. For me it works out over and over again. I only have to struggle with my own dragons, my inner dragons. Okay, but let's go to my finished object. It's my only finished object today and I must confess I wasn't sure if I would have finished it before today, but it went quite quickly and it's so heart jumping. It's making me so happy. This is my Prague blanket. I will show it to you, but let me start with the introduction. Last November 2023 we visited Prague in Czech, the city. I have been there before when I was a teenager on a high school trip. And now our oldest son, he had a rugby tournament there and we supported him and his team with my family, with my husband and our girls, but also with the grandparents from both sides and a lot of friends. There were several boys who we know better, the parents and rugby family. I don't know. If you know rugby, you know it's a lot of nice and cozy things. So it was very special. We had apartments all together and we had such an amazing week in this beautiful city. Of course, enjoying the boys and their sports, but in between we visited all parts of the city. We had dinners and it was just a very lovely week. And it was my birthday that week too. Very special place and date to celebrate my birthday. But the day before my birthday we went out of the city, my husband and our girls. Our son was of course busy with the rugby, so he couldn't join. But we went for a hike in the nature and I already noticed in Prague the beautiful colors of the buildings and especially when we go out of the city in the little villages around Prague, all the beautiful colors. I'm from the Netherlands and in the Netherlands we are very boring when it's about the colors of our houses. They are not exciting at all. And all the colors there were really making me so happy. The colors, just that the houses were colored was making me happy, but also the color combinations. So I suddenly started making pictures and I said to my husband, I would love to have a blanket in those colors. So then the idea was born and we pictured all the beautiful houses and color combinations. And our apartment, when we were back in the city, was in the same street as a yarn shop in Prague, the Yarn Queen. It was a very long street, but I could walk to the yarn shop. And we didn't know that before when we booked the apartment. It was just a coincidence. I think the universe wanted that I was close to that yarn shop. I can totally agree. But I visited the yarn shop. twice, and on my birthday it was closed, so I don't know exactly what was, so we couldn't visit it on my birthday. That was actually my wish, but the day after, and they were celebrating something then, so it was very busy in the shop. But I was allowed to pick all the colors for my blanket because it was a birthday gift for my mother and my father and my sister. And it was very, I picked a lot of yarn, so it was also a birthday gift. Part of it was birthday gift of myself. But I decided I wanted to make a granny square blanket in all the colors I saw in the houses, and I wanted it in fingering weight yarn because I love to crochet blankets in fingering weight yarns. Then the wave will be very nice because blankets are very big, of course, and I also crocheted a lot of blankets in DK weight yarn, but they are more heavy, and that can also be nice. But this one, we really wanted to have it, quite big, but not too heavy. So I did go for the fingering weight yarns, and I picked 3 different yarns. I just checked the colors. I was inspired by the colors. And I picked Sandnes Sunday, 100% non-superwash merino yarn. I picked Sandnes Tin Peer Gynt. I didn't know Tin Peer Gynt exists, but I really love Peer Gynt, and I really loved the Tin Peer Gynt too, the fingering weight variant of that. Also from Sandnes. And the last one was Filcolana Arbetta. And that's, I don't know, I don't think it's non-superwash. I think it's a superwash merino sock yarn. And I combined all the colors I saw in the houses. I checked my phone for all the pictures, and I had a big pile of 24 different colors in those 3 brands of yarn. And that was so lovely. It was really overwhelming to pick it out, but it was also very hard jumping that in the end, I 24 was the exact perfect amount of colors to make this blanket. Let me tell you. When I didn't have an idea of the pattern yet. I was not sure what to do, but I already felt the need for a blanket with different size squares. And I did some searching, and in the end I chose for the Fireside Blanket from Attic 24 from Lucy, with a little bit of Sarah sauce. The Dutch word is saus. Lucy is my crochet hero since I started crocheting 15 years ago. In that time, YouTube, I think it already existed, but not filled with all the crochet tutorials, and also Instagram was not a thing, and there were blogs. You could find your information on blogs, and Lucy was a very dedicated blogger about crochet. She shared all the tutorials, lots beautiful blanket patterns, all for free, and she is a very colorful lady with all her lovely color combinations. It was in my colorful time too. I had a colorful time. I always loved brown, but all the bright colors, I still love all the colors, but maybe a little bit less bright than 15 years back. But I don't know, it felt really good to pick Lucy's pattern. So I did. The only thing, she used granny squares with, I think, a circle or maybe a flower in the middle. And I changed that for the good old granny square. I think this is the most basic variant of the granny square. And I love it. I feel a deep love for this little tiny granny square pattern. This is the reason I started crocheting and I started knitting afterwards. This was my first successful try in the craft. In Dutch we say it handwerken. I love that word more. And I wanted it so badly that I'm not a natural. I'm not a talent. I really have a lot of willpower. That's what I have. That's my power. But I was not a talented crocheter. I didn't get it, and I tried it over and over again. And I'm always surprised when I learn my girls something. They pick it up so quickly, but I'm not such a person. I have to do it over and over again. But when it clicks, and I will never forget. and the granny squares definitely clicked. So I crocheted so many granny squares since 15 years ago. I totally lost count and all the projects, and yeah, I will never stop crocheting granny squares. It's so heart jumping to me. It's easy to me. It's satisfying. I love doing it. I love the look of it. I love all the colors in it. I love everything you can make with it. All the possibilities. It's really nice. So I decided it would be the Fireside Blanket with a little bit of Sarah sauce by picking this simple granny square. And I made, let me see, I made granny squares of 10 rounds. I'm not sure if that's in the pattern too. And granny squares of 5 rounds. And the big ones have 7 rounds of color 1, 2 rounds of color 2, and 1 round of color 3. And the little ones have 3 colors of color 1, 1 color of color 2, and 1 color of color 3. And this size perfectly connects with each other. I started with the big ones, and then I attach the little ones around, and I crochet them together as I go. Of course, you can sew them together or you can crochet them together afterwards, but that's not what I like to do. I love doing it as I go, and that means that you make slip stitches in between every granny stitch. I made a video. I'm not a tutorial maker, but I made a little video with another granny square project, and it's linked into my Ravelry page about this one. So you can find it there, or you can search it's on YouTube. You can search through my YouTube videos. But it's very easy, and there are a lot of people who did make very helpful and nice tutorials for that. So you can check it, granny squares as you go. When you search on the internet, you will find lots and lots of information. I did doubt a lot about if I wanted to make big squares, so a big square and then surrounded by tiny squares, and then make rounds around those squares. So I could attach them later together, but in the end I decided to just do it this way, and the way I try to explain it would be more practical. So you have a big pile of very big squares and you can crochet them together. Now I had to crochet the tiny squares, and the blanket was getting bigger and bigger, so that was not always practical, but I'm very happy I did that. I did do that because I love the look of it, and the other way I will certainly try it again because I love that idea too. I just started with choosing random colors. I picked my phone, I looked at the pictures, and made color combinations inspired by those pictures. But I'm quite sure this was my first big square. I'm quite sure, but it's not in a corner, so that makes me doubt a little bit. But yeah, and after a while, I was just picking colors random. I realized that I picked the same color combinations over and over again because I love them. I didn't have endless pictures, and then I realized that it might become a problem in the end because I would run out of yarn, some colors, before the blanket was finished, and then the way you divide the colors wouldn't be balanced. So then I changed my way of working, and I decided I would start with making big squares with every color. So I have 24 colors, and every color is in the middle of one big square. So my blanket is 4 squares wide and 6 squares high, the big squares. Oh, I also measured it. It's 130 centimeters by 180 centimeters. I have no idea what's that in inch. 1 inch is 2.5 centimeter, but you have calculators which can change it if you need. I will add that to my Ravelry page too. Yeah. So, and when I started doing that, I had a whole color organization, a whole structure. It was mainly I worked on this in the mornings when I always start my day with a heart jumping moment, with my first cup of coffee, 30 minutes of heart jumping happiness. It's really, I can really advise to start your day with that if possible, because it's just so nice when you wake up and you think, oh, I can start doing that. I do other things before. I make breakfast for the kids and all the things, don't lie. But then it's a little bit of a coffee break for me, and really nice and fun to do. So I mainly worked on that moment, and behind me on the shelf under the window, there's a word for it, of course I forgot it, but I put all the tiny squares I made, and with all the colors, and I made color combinations every time. How do I explain it? I talked about it more in the episodes I made since November. So every color was involved in a series of 24 squares, because I connected the new color to a square. So never one color was 2 times or one color wasn't crocheted. It's a very weird way of explaining something very simple. I'm sorry, I don't know how to do it, but it really worked out. So I didn't run out of yarn, and I just the color combinations. I didn't really feel the color combinations anymore. I just picked by the structured way, and that's always gives surprisingly effects. Colors you would never pair together, and then it will turn out great. So I love the surprising effect of that. It was really working out nice. So yeah, really really happy, and really making me satisfied about how it turned out. Then the border, I had some doubts about that, but I filmed last weekend a little bit information about how I crochet the border, and also about my doubts. So let's go to that moment. I just finished weaving in all my yarn ends, and it's only a small amount, because it were only the yarn ends from the last rounds from the border. Every time I crocheted a square, I did weave in my yarn ends as I go. So before I finished the square, before I attached it to the other squares, I did weave in all the yarn ends. And it's very nice when you are finishing such a big blanket that the yarn ends are already woven in. But for the border, I didn't do that, because I was a little bit doubting if I want to crochet the border like this. I really want to crochet away all the yarn I had, but I couldn't make another column of granny squares, not a granny square section, because then the shape of the blanket wouldn't be in balance, and I think I wouldn't have enough to make it all right again, because when you add a column to the width, you also want a column to the length. And I was quite sure I didn't have enough yarn for that. I didn't want to add yarn because I bought this in Prague, and I want to work with what I have. So I decided to make a big border, and yeah, normally I wouldn't choose such a big border, I guess, but because I want to crochet away as much as possible, I did do that, and I didn't weave in the yarn ends, because I thought, okay, when I really don't like it, I can always rip it out. But I did like it, actually. It's quite colorful and bright and busy, but I like it that all the squares are catched into the big border. But then we had the final round, the border of the border. And I want to share with you how I did make that. You are looking at the back side of the border. My blanket has not really a back and a front side, a wrong and a right side. I prefer to make my crochet blankets with as less difference between the right side and the wrong side as possible. You can crochet granny squares in several ways. You can go, when you have to start a new round, with slip stitches to the next hole, and then you have quite a difference between the front and the back. But I turn when I finish the round. I turn after every round, and then your granny squares are looking quite the same, the back and the front. The only thing is, when you crochet them together, I always do that as I go, and then there is a difference in how it looks, and I didn't alternate that. So I have this as I go part at the front and the as I go part at the back. You can see the stitches, it is looking different, but it's okay, I don't mind. So this is the back side of the border. Let me turn it around. Oh, or is this the front side? No. This is the front side. I didn't have enough yarn from one color of my Prague yarn to use for the border, and I also prefer to use a DK weight, a thicker yarn than the rest of the blanket. That's because I don't want to be my border too tight, and for me it always works pretty well to use a thicker yarn. So my blanket is crocheted in fingering weight yarn, and for the border I used DK weight yarn. So this is Anel Malmedy. It's a 100% superwash woolen yarn. I love to crochet with this yarn. I think it's my favorite yarn to crochet with. Not my favorite yarn to knit with. It does knit very nice, but it doesn't stay very nice. It doesn't hold good. But the weird thing is that it does hold good when I crochet with it. I made blankets with this yarn, and they are used for years and years, and they still are looking very pretty and not pilling or whatever. So the structure of a crochet stitch is so much different from the structure of a knit stitch. But I actually wanted to choose a darker brown, but the contrast, quite a big part of the last round is crocheted with very dark brown, and the contrast between this brown and the brown I had in mind, I don't have it with me here, was too low. So that made me decide to use this rusty brown. I love this color too. Normally I prefer darker colors for a border. This isn't a darker color, but I like it anyway. I did crochet the blanket with my 3 millimeter needle, crochet hook. For the blanket I used a 3.5 millimeter needle. My DK weight border exists of 2 rounds. In the first round I just attached the yarn in between 2 granny square granny stitches, and I knitted 1 single crochet. I always get confused by the US and the UK terms. I don't know which I'm using now, but it feels natural for me to say that this is a single crochet. And then I made 2 chains, and then again a single crochet, 2 chains, single crochet, 2 chains, single crochet, and 1 single crochet and 2 chains are together 3 stitches, and that's the same as the 3 stitches of the granny square. The granny stitch exists of 3 double crochets, and I'm afraid I'm messing up the terms. That doesn't matter. And that I never do a single I never do a chain in between the granny stitches. I always I love to be it more tight. You can create bigger holes when you do chains between the granny stitches, and that can be fun and nice, but I prefer a little bit of a tighter fabric, smaller holes in between. So I never do that. So the 3 stitches are here, and they are matching the 3 stitches there. And when I was all around, I added a second round. I wasn't satisfied yet. It can be enough, but it was not today, or even actually yesterday evening. So what I did in the second round was 2 single crochets in this little chain part, and 1 chain in between. So again, 2 single crochets, 1 chain make 1, 2, 3 stitches, which is matching the previous round and also the granny stitches. It is always the same amount of stitches. I couldn't make 3 single crochets. I did try, but it was not looking good. So the chain in between the single crochets makes the border nice and flat. So it's not too tight and also not too wide. So it's laying nice and flat and yeah, working pretty good. I did something special at the corners. In the first round I did 1 single crochet, 2 chains and 1 single crochet in the same hole. So there was an extra chain part right here. And in the last round I did crochet 2 single crochets, 1 chain and 2 single crochets in that one. So instead of 2 single crochets I made 4 in this part and with 1 chain in between. So now you have a nice and straight hooky corner and I love the look of that. If you don't do it, it will be more a rounded corner. That can be fun too, but I prefer this shape. Yeah. So yeah, it really worked out good. So I was satisfied and happy. So that made me able to weave in the last yarn ends this morning. And I will save them. I always use them as stuff or whatever. I have a special place to keep them. So yeah. Okay, that was it for the border. This is my project basket. In this basket I kept my blanket all the time. And these are my leftovers. As you can see, it's not much. Only this color is a little bit more. What I will do right now is I will make a new magic yarn ball without knots around this one, and then I will knit all the scraps away in my northeasterly blanket. And I will see, this is a little bit too much to knit away in my northeasterly blanket, so I can imagine I will put the rest in my scrappy basket, and then this will all be nice and clean. I did save all the labels, and although it was not really my plan to note all the color numbers, I think I will do it anyway. I will write them down on my Ravelry project page. That feels really organized, and then they can go all away, and then my basket is nice and clean again. Okay, yeah, as you might understand, this blanket is really making me happy. It was such a joy to work on, but it's also filled with a lot of love. It's filled with my love for granny squares, that's for sure, but it's also filled with memories of a beautiful week in Prague, which was also all about love, all the lovely people and the lovely city, and yeah, I don't know, it's all catched into this blanket. And I made it for in our new camper van. We never had such exciting holidays because we just love camping in the Netherlands. I love the Netherlands as a country to go camping. Our kids, when they were little, they could always play and it was always nice. I am not a big lover of very warm summers, and the Dutch summers were perfect for our family. But as the kids grow older and we had different needs, so if you are watching my episodes for longer, you might know that we sold our vintage caravan and we did buy a camper van. And it's not finished yet, so we don't have the camper van yet. It will come, but we have to be a little bit patient. So last summer we went to France and Italy with small tents, and it was really exciting and much more traveling than we did all the years before. But the week in Prague was actually the first time we had a holiday in another country. So that was really nice, and it's really exciting to start this blanket from that week, and it will be in our camper van in which we will travel a lot. Maybe we will visit Prague again, but we will definitely visit all the countries in Europe, and we will travel much a lot. I already said that. I want to cut this out. I might forget. So it's very special to have it for that occasion. It will be a holiday blanket. There is a little mistake in this blanket. Let me search for it. When I was searching in the Dutch episode, I already filmed that. I couldn't find it. And that was actually quite funny because when we make mistakes, you don't like it. And when you are discovering a mistake, it can feel as very visible and very big, but when you can't find it afterwards, it's actually not as visible as you think. And that's exactly what is happening now again. I know which color combination it was. Again, I can't find it. Come on. Where are you? This is not possible. I just can't find it. It's very weird. It took me some time in the Dutch episode, but then I found it. So I made a mistake and I felt very bad about it. And now it takes me forever to find the mistake. Now I'm feeling bad. I can't find the mistake. Oh. Miss Perfect, where are you when I need you? Yes, I see it. Here it is. Catch it. Okay, here it is. Oh, I never felt so happy I found my mistake. This is really confusing. This is really confusing. First of all, I really bothered. I really felt bad about making the mistake. When I discovered the mistake, it was way too much back to fix it, to rip it out. Sometimes you discover a mistake and you just have to rip out a little bit and redo it. But I was way far. I did have to pass that point far. That's a weird sentence, I'm sorry. And then I realized, okay, I can fix it anyway. I can sew it together. And now, when I was filming my Dutch episode, I couldn't find it as quickly as I wanted to find it. And now I am sure when I will edit, I will cut out a big searching part. But I'm searching for, and I'm not joking, for more than 10 minutes right now. And at one point, I just wanted to find that mistake because I wanted to show you what I did wrong. And I couldn't stand that I couldn't find my mistake. And it's very confusing. But I'm happy I found it. It is quite small and absolutely not visible, as you might notice. This is the mistake. I forgot to catch this part. I make slip stitches in between every granny stitch and I forgot it here. So there is no slip stitches and there's a big hole here When you crochet your squares together, there are always tiny holes in between, but now there's a big hole, and yeah, I thought it was quite visible because when I discovered the mistake, I couldn't not see it. I saw it all the time. But that's not true. So part of me wanted to fix it, that mistake. I can quite easily sew it together and no one will notice. But no one will notice right now too. So I think this is a perfect way to practice my imperfectionism. I'm not feeling bad about the mistake. It can stay there. And actually, it feels quite funny right now because this mistake is very good in hiding itself. So you're a good mistake. Clever one. Okay. So absolutely happy with this beautiful blanket. I love the colors, I love the feeling, I love the look. I really enjoyed the process of making it. I will miss it, absolutely. I'm also happy that it's finished. It's always nice to finish a project, but finishing a blanket is extra special because it's most of the time a longer project. My blankets are mainly projects I have next to all other smaller projects. And this is actually quite, it took me not even a year to make it, 10 months, I guess. When you are working for such a long time on something, it really becomes a part of your daily life. And we were really good together. So now you will still be a part of my daily life, but in a different way. You will be a part of my camper life. That's not daily, actually. So very happy to finish this blanket, and I searched for all the pictures I could find in my phone. I did a quick search and I did find a little video of all the buildings and also a little video of me in Prague. And it's a bit weird because I was not in Prague alone, but I don't share my family on my social media. So it's a bit of a it was really actually together time, and it feels a bit weird to not share the together time, but you will understand, I guess. And all the pictures I could find in my phone from the past 10 months working on this blanket. And I put them all together at the end of the video and with the Spanish music under it. I did search for something Czech or Prague, but I don't know. It's about amor, and amor. I don't speak Spanish, so I actually have no idea what the lady is singing. But she's singing a lot about amor, and the blanket is all about love. And in Dutch we call that liefde. My love for granny squares, my love for the people. I will share the blanket with my love for the memories that are catched in the blanket. So yeah, a lot of love in the blanket. Enough about this one. I did. You could see me winding this yarn ball. These are all my leftovers. I'm really a clumsy video maker because I thought that you could see me winding the yarn ball, but I was not under the screen, so I'm out of the screen winding it. But this is all I have left. And I will knit it into my northeasterly blanket, and that will be my hard jumping morning knitting project from now on. My northeasterly blanket is my scrappy memory blanket. So every time I knit something in a fingering weight yarn, I will attach a little bit of that yarn in that blanket. And I collect always. I have quite some socks and other garments collected right now, and also this one, so I can work on that for a while. I didn't really plan a new blanket yet. We can always use blankets. It was my plan to make one for my son, but that didn't happen. We also had some bed size changes, so I didn't want to start a blanket before I was sure what size it must be, because I wanted to make a stripy one. So then you have to decide. When you're making granny squares, you can decide as you go. Not really blanket plans yet, but there will definitely come other blankets, because I love crocheting blankets, knitting too, but I prefer crocheting for blankets. Okay, enough for now. I'm a bit dusty. Oh yeah, that reminds me of telling you, I never block my blankets, especially not when they are crocheted. I think the structure of the crochet stitch, yeah, I don't know. Maybe blocking will have some effect, but when I knitted some things, garments or whatever, it's really actually needed the blocking effect. But with crochet, I don't have the feeling. And also all the blankets we have on the couch and on our bed, I actually don't wash them quite often. I do hang them out in the fresh air a few times a year with quite some sunlight on them, or just when it's windy, so they will be refreshed. But washing I don't do often because I think that's not really needed, and I won't wash this one. But I must confess, it was in this basket for 10 months, and yeah, when I'm yeah, I get dusty all the time, so I will hang it out tomorrow in the fresh air, and I hope I can put some dust out of it. So yeah, that will be the only thing. I also don't have enough space to dry my blankets when I did block them, when I would block them. So we have a very small bathroom, and also, yeah, I can lay it out right here, but it's quite a big surface, so I don't know if that's really practical. So yeah, I just don't block my blankets. Yeah. Okay, something else. I have a little desk next to me. We have a little bit of change in the house. Yeah, so now there is a desk, and it's here temporary, but it's looking very nice. And I have 2 desks right now. So on my desk is my other basket with some works in progress. I didn't have a lot knitting time last week. It's very busy with the preparations for the Knit to Purl to festival, and also just with normal life. We had a lot of appointments, and I really prefer a slow and easy life, but it's not always possible. Yeah, so not much knitting time for me, but my coffee bean cardigan did grow a little bit anyway. I really love this one. I used the numbers of the corn cardigan for it, and I just replaced the lace pattern for for the coffee bean pattern. I really love the coffee bean stitch, and I just want to give you a quick show, and I will give it some more attention other time. It's quite tight right now, but the coffee bean stitch is actually a variation of the Knit to Purl to. That's why I want to make this for Knit to Purl to, and the fabric stretches out quite a lot. So I don't know if you can see it. I really love it. I'm a little bit doubting about the length I want to make it. So it will be wearable on a skirt, but not too long for a dress. I think this will be the perfect length, I guess. Maybe a little bit shorter, not too short. So I can still knit some coffee beans. And for me, it's the perfect project on my needles right now, because the coffee bean stitch is really easy and repetitive. 4 rows you have to repeat, and it's the perfect amount of rows for a little break when you have to do other things. When you have busy times, it's extra important to take some breaks every now and then. So every now and then, I was, for example, cleaning yesterday, and I was very tired, and I didn't really feel the motivation to clean, but it was really needed. So every now and then, in between the cleaning, I promised myself, okay, you may knit 1 coffee bean right now, so 4 rows, and then go back to the cleaning part. And that's really nice, and it really worked out good. So really happy with this project. Yeah, as I said, I'm making it for the Knit to Purl to make along to wear at the festival in November, and I really I think it will only get more busy, so I hope to finish it in time. Normally I can work very good on deadlines, but it would be very lovely and also relaxing for me when it's finished in October yet. Yeah, and yesterday evening I worked a little bit on my Colorwork Cuff Club socks. The first sock I already finished, and I think I showed it. And yesterday I finished the color work of the second sock. Again, I knitted it on a small needle, and now I'm back on magic loop again. And yeah, I did weave in all the yarn ends this morning. It's looking very messy, especially the beginning of round when you are changing colors after every few rounds, but when you weave in the yarn ends it will look better. I have my concerns about the color work. It seems as if this sock is a little bit more relaxing, and I feel a little bit more tightness in this leg, but I can fit in it. It is, yeah, it stays exciting, color work in the cuff, because I did choose the smallest size because that's the amount of stitches, 56. I always use for my socks. I really love a narrow fit for socks, but it's quite exciting to do that with the color work cuff. And I think it works out. I fit in this sock perfectly. Yeah, but it's a little bit exciting. But I'm now at the heel flap, and a heel flap and gusset is not my go-to for a heel, so I have to pay some attention and check my notes. Yeah, and that's very important. I can share you in a minute why, because it's not always going well. But also very nice and relaxing knitting project. I am spoiled again. As I said, I'm a spoiled lady and I feel a little bit embarrassed about it every now and then, but this is really something heart jumping I want to show. This beautiful bag in this lovely brown flowery fabric is made by a Dutch project bag maker. Her name is Inge and her company is called Hobby Bags. And she asked me a few weeks ago, Sarah, can I send you something to thank you for the Knit to Purl to Festival? Because she will be one of the, how do you say, the sellers. She will sell her project bags on the Knit to Purl to Festival. And I asked her, why do you want to thank me? I have to thank you that you want to be part of the festival. And she said, no, I'm so happy and I love the idea and I'm so happy you invited me to sell. I want to thank you. And then I said, okay, it's absolutely not necessary, but I love to make some advertisement for you in my podcast. And she said, no, that's not necessary. I don't need you. That's not the reason why I send it to you. And you don't have to make advertisement. But I said, I will do it anyway, because I love it when someone's creating with passion, and she definitely does. So her name is Hobby Bags, or not her company's name is Hobby Bags. Look at the fabric. And she sent me this beautiful bag, and it's one of a kind. I don't think she sells those one. It's really nice with a big strand. And look at this. She specially made it. It's customized and it's removable, but it's very lovely. Knit to Purl to Festival. There was also a little tiny bag, I think for stitch markers. I already used it for small toys for my little niece. And also I think this will be a good, how do you call it in English? In Dutch we call it tampons when you are in your menstruation time. Those tiny things. Is that an English word? I don't know, but they fit in this perfectly too. And you can put it in your bag in a decent place. And there's more. She also sent me this, and this is really something special. It's a circular needle organizer. You can organize your circular needles in this, how do you call it? In this needle pouch. There are instructions how you can do it and how you can put in those little zipper bags all the needles and all your cables, so it won't be a mess in the bag where you keep them. So that's really nice and lovely. I didn't have the time yet to put my cables in this needle pouch, and I won't have the time soon, but I am looking forward to the day when I can organize. Organizing things is always fun to do, so I will definitely do that someday. And last but not least, this small tiny project bag, and I have several project bags in this size, and I really love them for small projects as a sock, when you're a sock knitter, or just a small crochet project or whatever. You can perfectly put it in your bag and bring it with you. So I have an all brown flowery collection. It's making me very happy. So thank you, Inge. I will put her website down below so you can show, because he's making a lot of other beautiful stuff. In this little tiny flowery project bag, I have my second sock from the Colorwork Cuff Club, and this was actually quite a drama. No, it's looking like a drama because there was some frustration involved. I was at the point, as I said, I'm not a heel flap and gusset knitter, so it always asks a little bit of my attention. But it's not hard to do. I just can't do it by head. So I was at the point that I picked up the stitches, and you have to do the decreases to create the gusset. Is that in Dutch we call it spie. And suddenly I thought, okay, my sock is back on track. I don't have to pay attention anymore. And I just knitted. I had made 2 decreases, I guess. And I was not finished with decreasing yet, but I just stopped decreasing. So I knitted, and I had quite some part of the foot, because I could really use just back on track, easy peasy sock knitting on my needles, on the go, in between, and I did knit quite some. And then suddenly I realized I had way too much stitches on my, way too many stitches on my needle. And then I realized, I forgot to decrease. And I tried to get back properly, but it didn't work out. I couldn't see it, and in the end I just ripped out all and went back to the small heel. So now I have to pick up the stitches again, and then I have to do the decreases with attention, and then I can knit endless and just easy peasy. But as you can see, I frogged it quite some part, and of course I worked from the middle of the ball in this case, so I couldn't wind it as proper as I wanted, and I just thought, let me put this frustration in a nice bag, and it will feel better at one moment. But I didn't have the time yet to just take a little bit of a quiet moment for it, just sit and knit, because of the busyness. But one day that will happen, and then we will be back on track, really. Okay, yeah, that was it for today. I hope you loved my granny square blanket. I know a lot of people always commented that they can't crochet granny squares. It's for me, it's always, I was a crocheter before I was a knitter, but of course there are also knitters who are not crocheters yet. But if you like it, I really hope you want to give it a try, because I really am so happy that I can knit and crochet, because I love both, and I prefer knitting for garments. You can crochet garments too, and there are some lovely patterns for crocheted garments, but I really prefer knitting for garments. But crocheting blankets is also very satisfying to do, especially when it's autumn. Autumn is coming in a big part of the world, the half of the world, of course. And it's really nice to crochet warm woolly blankets you can cuddle under in dark winter nights. So if you are doubting about learning that, I absolutely recommend it. And I also absolutely recommend the patterns by Lucy, but there are a lot of other beautiful crochet pattern makers, and you can find a lot of information on YouTube or whatever. So yeah, I don't think it's hard to learn, and it's good to learn new techniques. It's mental training. That's very good. You can do boring things, but you can also do nice things to train your brain. Okay, that was it for today. I will collect all the small knitting and crochet moments this week to be sure I have enough hard jumping moments. I hope you will do that too. I will be back this Monday with a new episode, and of course I will be there this Friday too with a hard jumping Friday episode, and you are more than welcome to join, but it is the paid membership of my YouTube channel. You can find the link down below. It's very important you don't open the link in the YouTube app. I got a lot of messages from people who are struggling with it and can't find it, but it's important you open the link in the internet browser, because when you open it in the YouTube app, it doesn't work. YouTube doesn't make it easy for you and me. I don't know why. But yeah, it is what it is. But if you like to be part of the Heart Jumping Friday group, I really want to welcome you there. That's the place where you can answer me all the questions about my projects, but also about your own projects, or about knitting or crochet in general, about other stuff. All welcome there, and I try to bring you with me through my week every now and then. And yeah, I really love those Heart Jumping Friday videos. It's our heart jumping moments for me too. So yeah, you are welcome there too. And of course, if you are not interested, that's also good. Then I hope to see you next Monday again. Have a nice week, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.
No hubiera pensado que yo me iba a enamorar, jamás. No quería saber nada más, nunca más. Pero vos apareciste de repente y me hablaste con una voz tan dulce que perdí la razón y mi corazón. Ay, amor, no te preocupes, que yo siempre he de quererte, de amarte y admirarte. Ay, amor, no te preocupes, lo que siento yo por vos es cada vez más fuerte. Yo pensaba que esto del amor ya se me había pasado y que no era para mí nunca más. Pero el amor llega así, de esa manera, cuando uno menos se lo espera. Se abrió la puerta y sin pensar dejas entrar el amor. No te preocupes, que yo siempre he de quererte, de amarte y admirarte. Ay, amor, no te preocupes, lo que siento yo por vos es cada vez más fuerte. Ahora todo tiene sentido, esto es lo mejor que he vivido. Por si no lo has comprendido, me quedo contigo. Ay, amor, no te preocupes, que yo siempre he de quererte, de amarte y admirarte. Ay, amor, no te preocupes, lo que siento yo por vos